my pleasure to introduce David Egner. He is the president and CEO of Hudson Weber, a $146 million assets organization where they are trying to do some great initiatives for the greater Detroit area. He also happens to be the executive director of New Economy Initiative, where they are tie up with organizations similar to TIE and do greater initiatives for the greater region of Southeast Michigan. David, it's a pleasure to welcome you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
You know, David, last couple of years we've all faced this crunch. Michigan particularly has faced more than the others, I guess. But you are doing some great initiatives. I think that is what is required to get this going, especially the entrepreneurial ecosystem. That is what is required as the fuel for the new engine to go forward. What are your take on that?
If we don't create better entrepreneurs, we'll never be able to compete in a global economy. The United States has created a lot of its policies around the notion of protecting what were the industries of the past. Which fueled our economy for years, created the largest middle class in the world, and we've been the beneficiaries of great success in the auto industry and in other areas of manufacturing. But if we don't move back to the entrepreneurial spirit that we had 70 to 100 years ago and adjust that spirit to understand a global economy, we'll fade off as an economic leader in the world. If we don't look at entrepreneurship as the way toward the future, I'm afraid the U.S. economy will eventually disintegrate. We'll be passed by China, we'll be passed by India, we'll be passed by other places in the world that are starting to understand what they can do if they have entrepreneurs' creativity and the capacity to build.
You know, this was the hub of innovation. This is where industrialization started. Right where we are sitting in Dearborn, Ford is a stone's throw away from here. What changed?
Culture. We started to protect what we had as opposed to continuing to innovate. You know, like my grandfather came here at age 13, he took another job at age 21, and he talked constantly about doing his job just a little bit better, doing a little bit better than the other guy. And by the time he retired, he was in a mindset of, I have to protect what I've earned. It was an entitlement mentality. And we've seen that grow through the U.S. culture in business. Whether you're an executive or a line worker, you felt you were entitled to certain things. And as a result of that, we've stopped innovating. And the more we created large institutions, the more the middle managers could not, at risk of damage to themselves, talk about innovation. I may make my boss look bad if I offer a better idea, or gee, if it's a better idea and it doesn't work, I'll lose my job. And so we put our heads in the sand. We've got to get back to the other culture.
So there's a great example in this country, which is Silicon Valley, bastion of entrepreneurship. I mean, you can say it's all about IT, but still it was a revolution, and the work culture is so different there. It is the right culture for entrepreneurial business. What lessons could be drawn from there and then incorporate the ideas and the passion, the zeal that exists already in this region?
Well, part of what happened with the culture is we forgot how to fail. Innovation doesn't come from success. Innovation comes from failure. So we have to accelerate failure. We have to accept failure as part of the innovation process. And in this part of the world, we reached a point of thinking failure in some way meant that you were done. You were done forever. And in Silicon Valley, if you're in a startup that doesn't work, as a manager, you simply walk across the street into the next startup. Failure is thought of as a learning process. It's thought of as an add to the resume of knowledge. And we've lost that, and we've got to relearn that. I think Silicon Valley has done that better than any other place in the world.
I also want to go back to your earlier point where you said, we started closing in ourselves, our innovation, our technology, our production. If you go all the way up to the federal government level, we are trying to be open. You just mentioned competing with China and India, but barely a decade ago, they were trying to be up with the U.S. The world is trying to be up with the U.S. So this has, in some ways, reversed. And I know, everybody is doing great initiatives to put it back on track. I'm trying to get from you, since there's such huge mood industry here, the best in the world, I'm assuming. Because now others who used to look upon us and try to compete with us are actually leading. So there are some real lessons, and I'm talking purely in terms of the automotive industry.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think it really cracked, and what needs to be done?
It's a difficult question in many regards. We've been blessed as a nation with tremendous natural resources, and that is one of the reasons that the U.S. advanced so quickly in its economy. Having natural resources here and then creating a system around a capitalistic way of operating. And somewhere along the way we've lost the value of education. I think if you look at India and China as the two examples, they have far surpassed the U.S. in the number of engineers, the number of people who understand math and science at the right level. And so this is it's a cultural change for the U.S. to go back to being a leader in education as well. Entrepreneurship is extremely important. Creativity, the way to connect and advance things, but entrepreneurship without education will lead to a different type of demise. We've got to reinvest in education the same way that we need to reinvest in entrepreneurship. I think that's why you're seeing such an uptick in India and China. People who are educated, people who are with other folks who are educated, tend to see the world through a lens that's more realistic and don't get lost in a culture and a protectionism that we've been lost in. I think we're only a short step away from being able to reclaim that. But my father's generation and my grandfather's generation didn't value education. They valued hard work. But why go to college when you can go work on the line? So we defeated ourselves to some degree by creating this incredible middle-class wealth. I think the economic downturn that we've experienced in this country and will continue to experience over the short haul will reinvest us in the education side.
I want to talk to you about the New Economy Initiative. If you can help us understand, the initiatives you are taking to help the region here, especially, and how we can inspire and empower entrepreneurship through this.
It's a New Economy Initiative is a $100 million fund put aside by 10 foundations. It's philanthropic. And its focus is to advance or accelerate the transition of the economy to be more innovative and to provide opportunity across all sectors and all equity classes. The challenge with that program is defining what role philanthropy has in the economy. Philanthropy can't move markets. Philanthropy can't change policy. What philanthropy can do is try to help build out an ecosystem and all of the infrastructure pieces necessary for entrepreneurs to succeed. And that's what we've been about. Trying to rebuild training, rebuild access to capital, intermediaries that understand specific sectors and opportunities so that we're fully active in how our systems work in moving entrepreneurship forward. The biggest challenge we're facing, and the biggest challenge I think we'll continue to face, is changing the culture away from what's been the entitlement or paternal relationship that's formed with larger corporations to one that's more entrepreneurial. So we continue to struggle with that issue. We can build infrastructure, but if we don't inspire people to behave entrepreneurially, we can never get on the right track.
I want to ask you about organization like TIE. TIE is the largest in the world, fostering entrepreneurship. And they do amazing work in empowering entrepreneurs, and they're doing a great job here in this area. How best can TIE collaborate with NEI?
I think TIE being TIE makes all the difference. This is the message of entrepreneurship and the spirit of entrepreneurship that's pushed through TIE. You can feel the energy if you're at a TIE event. The Tiecon today is one where you can't walk into the building and not understand the creativity and the drive that exist and the positive attitudes of the people that are here toward starting your own business, being your own social entrepreneur, trying to change the world with what you can do every day. I think what we need some help with long-term from TIE is re-stimulating mentors and coaches, venture coaches. And especially in this part of the world, we've been so absent of the experts, the managers, and TIE can play a very large role with us in that regard. So building that capacity and partnering with us on how to take venture coaches and mentors back to new entrepreneurs would exponentially advance the work we're doing.
David, thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. It's been a great pleasure.